What's up everyone, Kyler Cesner, welcome back to another video, and today we got my 2023 WWE Elimination Chamber predictions. I'm very excited for this show. Elimination Chamber, one of my favourite match types. I always enjoyed chamber matches, and this year it's not just the chamber match but the whole card in itself looks fantastic, and there's a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any time. Let's get into predictions. And we're going to start off with the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE United States Championship. And this is one of the matches I am looking forward to the most, or one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most, probably this and the main event. Because this match can go 6 different ways. Like, I can see the case being made for all 6 winning. Some more than others, of course, but yeah, I feel like this one is up in the air a bit. So we have Austin Theory defending the United States Championship against Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. Excited to see Ford in the chamber. I feel like he'll do some good stuff and kind of getting a bit chance to shine in a singles role. I feel like a lot of people have been wanting this to happen for a while for Montez. And so have I, but I don't want to break up the Street Profits either. I feel like you can give them both a bit of a singles run and still have them aligned without having to split them. That's because I feel like we need a lot of tag teams. Like, they need tag teams. They can't just keep breaking them up, reunite and break them up. Oh, here's another team, and stuff like that. So yeah, Damian Priest, of course, part of the Judgment Day, one of my favourite acts on Raw right now. We'll get into a bit more with them later on. Bronson Reed, of course, recently coming back, having some good matches where he's just throwing around smaller guys. Had a good match against Akira Tozawa. That was to qualify for the Royal Rumble, I believe. So that was a while ago. Johnny Gargano, of course, recently returned to the WWE, then went out with an injury for a bit, returned at the Royal Rumble. He's qualified into this one, and then we've Seth Rollins and Theory. You know about Seth Theory. He's kind of been in this position for a while now. Of course, he's held the US title, won Money in the Bank. He's kind of up at that upper level. On paper, of course, Rollins stands out as the favourite just because he's Seth Rollins. I don't think Seth will win. I don't think Seth needs to win here. It looks like he's going to go Logan Paul at Mania, and that doesn't need a belt. In terms of Austin Theory, I can see him retaining and setting up Cena, because again, that looks like the direction he's going to go in, is Cena. But does Theory and Cena need a belt? No, not really for me either. I feel like you can still run that without the US title. So I would take the US title off of Theory in this one and have him go towards Cena with the belt, and then that allows you to do other stuff with the United States Championship and opens up other things to and gives opportunities to others at Mania. You could do a ladder match. Out of the other 4, I'm leaning more towards Gargano and Bronson. As much as I'd like to see Montez win it here, I don't think now is the right time to give him the US belt. Same with Priest. Just, you've other stuff going on with the Judgment Day. I can see Priest winning it and bring gold to the group, but I don't know, I feel like it would make more sense to give it to either Gargano or Reed, just because they have recently came back to the WWE. It gives them something to do, give them like something. They haven't really been getting the greatest reactions, so this could give them like something to do, and like kind of get behind them a bit. And I'm gonna go with Johnny Gargano. Personally, I'd like to see Johnny as US champion. I think Gargano can do good stuff, and they've built up the US title nicely. With the main reason being the absence of the main world title on Raw since unifying them last year at Mania. Since Triple H just came in, he's kind of done a good job at elevating those mid-card titles on both brands, but especially the US title on Raw, with kind of being the main featured men's singles title. So I think giving it to someone like Gargano, he can do some good stuff with it. Like I said, at Mania, you can do a multi-man ladder match. You can have Priest and Bronson in there again. And then post-Mania, if he's back, you could run... I'd like to see them run Gargano and Ciampa for the US title throughout the summer, maybe through Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. I feel like you could get some good stuff. It'd give Ciampa something to do when he's back. It'd give Gargano something to do. It's a good program to run with the US title as well. So yeah, I'd like to see Johnny Gargano get the United States Championship here. This is just more of what I would like to see over anything, because I can see Theory retaining this and going on to defend it against Cena. But does Theory and Cena don't need the US title for that match? I feel like it'll be a big enough match without the US title. I don't feel like the US title would actually add anything to that match. So I'd like to kind of remove the US title from that program and give the US title its own spotlight and allow other people on the card something to do at Mania. It's also why I'm not going with Seth in this one, because Seth is looking like it's going to be Logan at Mania. So again, that's a program that I don't feel like needs the US title. So I'd rather they do separate the US title and do something else with that. So that's why I'm going with Johnny Gargano to win the men's chamber. This one's more of a what I'd like to see rather than what I think they will do, because as I said, this one I'm not fully sure what they will do when it comes to this United States Championship Chamber. That is one of the reasons I'm excited for this match. 6 great wrestlers in it, and it really is kind of up in the air, because I've kind of discussed through discussing this, there are a lot of different options you could go with, and all 6 are viable options as well. Moving on to our next matchup, we're going to move straight into the Women's Elimination Chamber match for a shot at Bianca Belair's Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. We got Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and Carmella. Personally, unlike the men's one, I think this is pretty obvious. Asuka, I feel like, is the only option here that I can see is in a position where at WrestleMania challenging Bianca Belair, especially coming back, new gimmick. We just seen her on Raw go through all 6 women, in that 6-woman tag. She took out her partners and took out the opposite team to get the win. I feel like Asuka is on a level above everyone else in this match. And I feel like it's very hard to see Asuka lose. Personally, I'd love to see Asuka kind of start this and run through everyone and just take everyone out and maybe even eliminate everyone, set her up big time heading into WrestleMania against Bianca. Plus Bianca and Asuka, I feel like, is the biggest match on paper. It's probably, ability wise, it'd probably be the best match as well out of all these possibilities. Now, personally, I would have liked to have seen maybe Piper Niven or a Candice LeRae in here. I feel like Natalya is only in here because it's Canada. Carmella, she's probably only in here because she came back recently from a couple of months off. Personally, I would like to see someone like a Piper. Again, I guess Piper did just come back at the Rumble, so it's kind of similar situation to Carmella. But I feel like having someone like Piper, who's a big kind of monster you can see run, she had a big dominant performance in the Rumble. I feel like having someone like her, maybe have Piper be the one run through everyone and Asuka's the one who comes out and stops her. I feel like you're kind of missing something like that. Again, I'm a big Candice LeRae fan. I've mentioned this a lot of times. I think Candice is awesome. I would have loved to have seen her in a chamber. I feel like she could have done some good high spots and some good stuff in the chamber. But I feel like that role will end up going to Liv Morgan, since she's doing the whole extreme Liv gimmick type thing. And again, Nikki Cross as well. She could do some good stuff because she's crazy. And Candice does have thing going on with Nikki. So again, I feel like maybe I would have liked to see Candice in there, just so you can kind of continue on the stuff going on between her and Nikki. But yeah, I feel like Asuka makes sense being in here again. Dominant. I feel like she's gonna win this. Liv and Raquel makes sense as well being in here because they've Raquel just recently challenging for SmackDown Women's title. Liv, former SmackDown Women's Champion. Like I feel like they're at that tier just under the likes of Asuka, the likes of Bianca, the likes of Becky, the likes of Bayley. I feel like they're just that tier under, and you know they're the perfect kind of people that would fill out a chamber. I feel like Raquel, it's only a matter of time before she does win the women's championship. I feel like sometime this year you could see her win the belt. With how she's been pushed. Nikki Cross again, happy to see her in here. She's dropped the Nikki ASH stuff, gone back to that crazy Nikki Cross. I feel like having her and that craziness inside the chamber will lead to some good stuff. Natalya and Carmella, I feel like I don't see any of them as legitimate competitors. I feel like they're just here to make out numbers. I feel like Natalya's just here because it's in Canada. Carmella's just in here because she's been gone for 8 months. Like, I feel like I would have liked to see those 2 spots go to someone else. Like I've already mentioned, Piper and Candice, but there are other options as well. You know, you could maybe Mia Yim or someone, but these are the options we get, and out of all these options, I've already kind of said it. I feel like Asuka is the only one I see here win it, and going on to WrestleMania to challenge Bianca Belair for her Raw Women's Championship. Moving on, we've got Edge and Beth Phoenix versus the Judgment Days, Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. With saying here, we can expect Dominic Mysterio and maybe Damian Priest, even though Damian is in the chamber, so it might just be Dominic. I did say I would talk more about the Judgment Day when I was talking about Damian Priest earlier, and here we are. As I mentioned, one of my favourite acts right now on Raw. I'm loving this whole like prison Dominic stuff. I think it's great. I feel like Dominic perfectly gets the character. The thing they posted on social media when he was on like a Valentine's Day with Rhea Ripley, like I feel like he just gets the character and his like delivery. It's funny. It's like hilarious. It's kind of cringe in a way, but that's what makes it funny, and that's what makes me like the character. Of course, being a big Finn Balor fan for a long time, Rhea Ripley, awesome winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, deservedly. And that's why I am going to go with Rhea and Balor to get the win over Edge and Beth. Rumors are kind of that Edge and Finn maybe Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania, or well, that rumor was they would have it at the Elimination Chamber, but things kind of changed around. So I can maybe expect to see that at WrestleMania, or maybe just Edge versus the Demon or something at WrestleMania. Like, I feel like that is where they're going, because I don't know what else you do with Finn or what else you do with Edge at Mania. It does feel like that is the direction they will go, both of them. Beth, I don't really see her doing anything at Mania. Like, I feel like she's here to take the pin from Rhea, because personally I would have Rhea get the pin over a Hall of Famer like Beth Phoenix, giving her that extra bit of momentum going into her match with Charlotte Flair. Yeah, so I feel like Rhea needs to pin Beth here. I'd have, you know, if you are going Hell in a Cell or continuing Edge and Balor too many, I'd have them just brawling around ringside. It comes down 1-on-1, Beth and Rhea. Rhea, Riptide, puts Beth away. Maybe you can have Dominic with the distraction, getting him involved and stuff. But yeah, I feel like this one has to be a Judgment Day win. But again, being in Canada, do they give it to Edge and Beth? Maybe. And if they do that, it will be Edge pinning Finn. Like, they shouldn't have Rhea take the fall or be anywhere near close to like taking the fall. If the Judgment Day are to lose it should be Finn. But does Finn taking a pin, like, that really doesn't build anything for them at Mania. Like we've seen Balor and Edge a lot of times. So if Edge just cleanly pins Finn here, I feel like that could be like the culmination of the feud rather than a way to extend it to Mania. So I see it being Rhea pinning Beth, pinning a Hall of Famer, picking up the momentum going into WrestleMania, and then maybe Edge and Finn brawling around ringside, which will then set up their rematch, possibly inside Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. So yeah, for my prediction, I'm going to go Rhea Ripley getting the win for the Judgment Day. Next up, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, and probably the match. I'm not really too enthusiastic about this. Of course, when Bobby and Brock both returned, this was the dream match for me and a lot of people. But I feel like we've seen it. This will be match number 3, and I feel like it hasn't really delivered on that dream feud, that dream match expectations a lot of us had for this. And the build hasn't really been that great. uh, Leading up to the Royal Rumble, Bobby Lashley was like a face going against Theory, and like Brock cost him the belt, and then at the Rumble, Bobby eliminates Brock, and then in the build up to this match, it's Brock saying, "I got a contract, Bobby, sign it," and Bobby was like, "No, I'm gonna have my managers and stuff look at this," and it's kind of like he was ducking Brock. And then, of course, he did eventually sign a contract on Raw after, not getting into the ring, baiting Brock to come down to him, which gave him the upper hand, leaves Brock line and standing over him, signing the contract. Again, this is match number 3. Bobby wins the first one at the Royal Rumble. Lesnar gets one back at Crown Jewel. I'm surprised. Of course, I mentioned Bobby eliminating Brock at the Rumble, but I'm surprised they are doing this here. I thought they would have done this at Mania. It would have made sense to run this back at Mania, but do you do Brock and Lashley for a Mania and kind of throw this one out and have it be a no contest? The reason I say this is, what else do you do with Lashley at Mania? What else do you do with Brock at Mania? I know there was a rumor at one point in time that it's Brock and Gunther, and they did kind of tease that at the Rumble with a little stare down. But there's also been the rumor that it'll be Gunther versus Sheamus and Drew, and if you do Gunther and Brock, what do you do with Bobby? What do you do with Drew? What do you do with Sheamus? So I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley in this one, and I'm going to go with Hurt Business getting involved, attacking Brock, maybe distracting Brock, beating down Brock after the match or before the match or something, which allows Lashley to take advantage and get the win. Because as I mentioned, Lashley, to me, he's been coming off heelish. He has been mentioning his managers and his agent taking a look at the contract, so maybe by that he means MVP. Of course, on Raw we have been seeing MVP with Cedric and Shelton again, especially in backstage segments. They've been talking a lot, so maybe this sets up the Hurt Business reuniting, taking out Brock, allowing Lashley to get the win, which then sets up Brock and Bobby again at WrestleMania. So yeah, I don't really know which way to go with this one. I'm just going to call Bobby with Hurt Business involvement, just because I don't really know what else to expect from this one. And then the main event, the match that should be the main event, the match that I'm pretty sure will main event, Sami Zayn challenges Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, and I am so excited for this one. Let me just say this, Sami Zayn is one of my favourite wrestlers of all time. If it was not for El Generico, was one of the reasons I started watching PWG, one of the reasons I started watching Shikara, one of the reasons I started watching Ring of Honor is El Generico. He was one of my favourites in NXT. Everything he's done on the main roster, whether it's been good or bad, he's made work to his the best of his ability, whether it's the conspiracy theorist gimmick, whether it's the honorary use, whether it's just babyface Sami Zayn when he first got called up, whether it was the turning heel and teaming with Kevin Owens, whether it's wrestling Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. Everything he's been given, he's made work, and I would love to say Sami Zayn walks out of his hometown in Montreal as Undisputed WWE Universal Champion and heads to WrestleMania as champion. But I know, as much as I want to say that, as much as I want to see that happen, let's be honest, it's Roman Reigns, it's the tribal chief, it is the head of the table. He's had the championships for over I don't even know how long he's had that Universal Championship. He's had it for 2 years. But it's just hard to see him losing the belt before Mania. It really is. As much as I want Sami to somehow, someway do it, we all know it's going to be Roman. But there's I have a little bit of hope though. That killer promo on Raw between Sami and Cody was so good. It's giving me hope. Maybe he somehow, someway does. Maybe it sets up Sami versus Cody. Maybe it's a triple threat. Maybe they do it like WrestleMania 2000 for the Intercontinental Championship and the European Championship. I believe it was Kurt Angle walked in with both. Triple threat match. One fall for one belt, the other fall for the other, and I'm pretty sure he lost both belts. There's so many different ways they can go. It's just which way do they go? Do they just say, no, we're not going with Sami at all? It's Roman versus Cody. That's it. Here's Sami versus the Usos, which they can tell a good story, but they can tell a good story with Sami and Jay. At first, I was like, they can tell this. At first, I was like, no, it has to be Roman, but I've kind of come around to Sami and Kevin versus the Usos. Because, Jay walked out on the bloodline, why would Sami go for the Usos tag belt? Sami doesn't have a problem with Jay, but if Sami, especially after last week's SmackDown, where Sami said to Jay, I acknowledge you, you don't have to go down with the sinking ship. I'm like, if Jay does turn on Sami, it's going to be so heartbreaking. But, it is. But, and I feel like everyone is expecting Jay to turn. Even though on SmackDown, Paul Heyman said to Jimmy, we don't want Roman doesn't want the Usos anywhere near Montreal, or anywhere near the event. He wants them to stay home, he wants to watch, because watching on TV gives you another perspective. Which I'm guessing is a reference to Roman was watching the show, and he's seen the segment between Sami and Jay. He's seen Sami say to Jay, I acknowledge you. This is just thinking out my way of thinking of things. I feel like that is where that's come from. Because, we seen on TV that segment with Sami saying he acknowledges Jay. Roman wasn't at the show. He was on the phone to Paul Heyman, so we can only assume he was watching the show, he knows what's going on. So I'm guessing that is why Heyman said, when you watch things from afar, you see things you don't see in the building. Which is where I think that's coming from. Which, again, it's just these small little details is what makes this storyline so, so good. And I feel like Roman's been so dominant for so long, but then this story comes along. Imagine it's the man that was trying to help the bloodline, but got rejected and refused in a way. He wasn't accepted by Jay, but then when he was, Kevin Owens came along and planted seeds of doubt in Roman Reigns, so Roman didn't trust him. And then Roman pushed Sami to turn on him, And now Sami is the one to take everything, take his family, take the bloodline. He split the bloodline. And now what does Roman Reigns care about the most? The WWE Universal Championship. Just imagine if Sami was the one to take it. Oh, I want to say Sami Zayn wins so bad. Like, I'm talking myself into it, even being excited even more. But I just feel like going with the obvious isn't bad. Sometimes going the obvious route is good. I feel like that is where they're gonna go. I feel like they're gonna go. It's Roman and Cody at Mania, and you're getting the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami. And I get one of the arguments is, oh, what do you do with if you add Sami to the main event at WrestleMania? What do you do with the Usos and Kevin? It's simple. I'm gonna like you could night one go Roman Reigns like, okay, Kevin, you need or Roman or Sami. Roman goes to Sami. You want in the main event at night 2, okay. Beat the Usos. And it has to be you to get the pin. Let's see if Kevin Owens is really your friend or if Kevin Owens is selfish and just using you. You have to be the one to pin the Usos. And if you do, you get added to the main event. Or, if you want to just go Sami and Cody and take Roman out completely, you could do like Roman versus Jay versus Jimmy versus Solo. I just have the bloodline completely implode at WrestleMania. This is why this story is so good, and why WWE is so good at the moment. Because there's so many different directions that this can go, and it's not predictable. It's genuinely, I don't know where this is going. There's a lot of different paths. There's a lot of different routes. Just which one do they take? And as far as predictions go, I'm gonna go Roman Reigns rocks out with both the belts. Whether that is Sami wins by DQ but doesn't get the belts, or Roman just straight up beats him. I think Roman leaves Montreal and walks into WrestleMania as the double champion. It's where do we go from here? What is next? And like I said, I feel like the Usos costing Sami is predictable. And sometimes predictable is good. But I don't think it'll be as predictable as we expect. I feel like there'll be a little twist, a little something extra to it. Look at the Royal Rumble. We all were expecting eventually either the Bloodline turns on Sami Zayn or Sami Zayn turns on the Bloodline. But I don't think any of us were expecting Jey Uso to walk out the way he did. And that is what made the story even better. Which side is Jey Uso on? That is why, if Jey Uso didn't walk out and he joined the Bloodline in, beating up Sami Zayn, like Jimmy and Solo did, and it was Bloodline fully united standing over Sami Zayn, I don't think it would be as good as it was. It wouldn't be. It straight up wouldn't be. If it was just a clean cut, you're out. But now that there's that fraction in the Bloodline, there's that friction. Which side is Jay on? No, Jimmy straight up asked him, are you in or you out? And he said, I don't know. And I feel like there'll be something like that where we're like, oh, we knew he was going to get cost, but I didn't expect that other part to happen. And like, the more I talk about it, the more I think about it. Even if, Roman telling the Usos to stay home, if Jay does show up, and he does cost Sami, and let's say Kevin Owens, I don't think he's been seen since WrestleMania. He comes out, makes a save, and we go off the air in Montreal with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn standing tall after running off the Bloodline. What does that mean for Jay and Roman? Let's just think about again what was said on SmackDown. Paul Heyman said Roman Reigns wants the Usos to stay home. Even if Jay shows up and costs Sami, he's going against the head of the table's orders. And that's just going to cause more friction. Now I'm kind of like, now I kind of sell myself on that is what I want to happen. Because then leading out of WrestleMania, we can have an annoyed Roman Reigns after losing his belts. But he's also annoyed for the Usos defying orders. I don't know what's going to happen. And as I said, I think Roman Reigns walks out with the belts. It's just, how do we get there and where do we go from there? That is the intriguing part. And I could sit here and talk about this all day, but we're already 30 minutes into the video, so I'm just going to end it, because I can, again, like I said, I can go on all day talking about the bloodline, talking about Sami Zayn, talking about how great this story has been. But we're going to end it here. Leave a like on this video. Let me know in the comment section below what you think will happen at Elimination Chamber. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.